Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk a little bit about why on your shamanic awakening journey, why you struggle, why you have difficulty. And I'm only speaking from my experience and through my perspective. So in having helped some people who have struggled themselves, and seeing what transpires, it's given me some insight into what causes us to hit a wall, what causes some of you to get stuck. So I'm going to kind of share a little of that, and if you can get some insight from it and compare it to your own spiritual journey, so you can see what might be applicable to you. So what I've seen happen is that sometimes a student is connected to their spiritual guides at the level of just being able to shake, and they get stuck like that for a very long time. This usually happens because maybe the shaman, the sifu, is not exactly at the vibration that is needed in order to bridge the guides to you. Or otherwise, at the same time, this doesn't mean that shaman or that sifu cannot help you at all. If they were able to connect you enough so that you can shake, there's a little work that needs to be done, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible. It doesn't mean that you are just stuck, or that this sifu cannot continue to work with you in order to increase, in order to grow that connection that you have made with your spiritual guides. So if your connection is only at the point where you can shake and you are not able to connect beyond that, you are not able to communicate with your guides, there is no teaching that is occurring between your guides and you, that means some work needs to be done. Your sifu has options to either continue working with you, help you, guide you, and propel you by continuing to do some rituals to grow your vibrations, to connect to your guides, because this happens for the reason that the connection that was made is weak and your sifu was not able to connect you to your spiritual guides at a level that's needed. And this all has to do with imbalances and disconnections in frequencies. So it can be that your sifu's frequency is not at the level, is not at the place where it needs to be, or your frequency is not at the place where it needs to be. So your sifu needs to grow your frequency, needs to enable you, needs to propel you. So in a situation like that, those are options that can take place. It doesn't mean that your sifu is not able to help you at all. It just depends on if your sifu is willing to or has the capacity to continue working with you. Sometimes a shaman, your sifu, they are not sure what to do from there. They don't know what steps need to be taken so that they can continue to help you grow. And so in such cases, your sifu might give up and say, okay, I'm not able to help you, so you need to look for someone else that is more compatible with you. And it's no fault of the sifus. Sometimes we are at a point where we're not sure how to help this person grow anymore. And so the best thing to do at that point is to have them go and look for someone else who has the capacity to help them. Sometimes the connection that is made between you and your guide, it's not strong enough. It's not to the point where your guides can communicate with you, start guiding you. And your sifu might be able to advise you, might be able to take steps to help you to continue growing, to open up that pathway, to open up that energetic field between you and your guides, so that your frequency and your guides can become more aligned. When that happens, then that connection starts to be more prominent. That connection starts to be more visible. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what steps you can take. Maybe you are the sifu, maybe you are the student. There are steps that can be taken on either part. As a sifu, if your student is not making progress, if your student is not growing, you can't just keep telling them, just keep practicing, because if they are at a point where they cannot grow, they can practice all they want and it will take years and they'll still be at the same place. So as a sifu, as a teacher, we can't just keep telling our students to just keep practicing. That's fine to give that kind of advice if your student is fairly new, they just started, maybe 1 or 2 weeks in, 1 or 2 months in. Yeah, you can tell them, okay, keep working, keep practicing. But as the sifu, you also have to give them suggestions on what they need to do in order to grow as they're practicing. If it's been 5-6 months, 1 or 2 years, and you are still at the same place, then this is bad advice to continue giving to your student. Is if you just keep telling them continue working, continue trancing, continue 我能得到些我冇少，要想了嘅得到些了。So something needs to change. Different steps need to be taken. A different path needs to be taken. Obviously, what you've been doing is not helping you. So you have to know when to say, okay, this is not working. I have to change gears. I have to change plans so that I can grow, so that the path can start to clear for me. Because right now, everything is fuzzy and there's just fog up ahead and I can't see. I can't go. I can continue walking in the fog, but I'm not going to continue to grow if it's been this much time. So it's just like in the classroom when we teach a student and it's been the whole year, 5-6 months, and they are at the same spot they were before. Something's not working. A different plan needs to be implemented. So what you're doing is not working. You need to change plans a little. One thing I have found is that when a student is very dedicated and puts a lot of time into their spiritual path, their shamanic path, even if they don't grow much, they will always grow more than the student who doesn't put any work in and they just wait. They just wait for things to happen for them. And so if you are just waiting for things to happen for you, then it's not going to happen. And if it does happen naturally for you, because maybe your guides are connected to you, then that's awesome. That still means that you still have to put in the work that is needed on your part, so that your guides, they are already growing you, guiding you. Well, you can excel. You can grow. You can grow more quickly. You can achieve more if you put in the effort needed too. Always think of it in terms of schooling. The student that doesn't put in effort, even if they're very smart, they get the gist of it, but they can always be better. They can always perform better instead of just getting by. The student that is struggling, they have to work harder. They have to work harder. They have to study harder, just like at the college level. Some students, they're just very intelligent and they just study a little bit. They don't even study. They just work the problems and they can do it. They understand what the subject is. They understand what's going on. For some students, they struggle more. They have to put in double the effort, double the time for them to just be passing. If you are the student and you're finding that you're not making growth, then you need to talk to your sifu, ask for advice, for suggestions. I cannot give you specific advice for your situation, but if you are my student and you're not making growth and you're not making progress, I will be able to talk to you and I will be able to detect and assess what needs to be done for your particular situation. I had a student recently and her hands were giving her issues. And so she called me and she was expressing this to me, and I'm not sure exactly how often she practices, but I felt like, oh, có không mất tiền nữa thì có yêu tao xong đầu rồi có chỉ chua tao sẽ qua nè thì có cho thơ này thơ khoa lỡ khí chỉ tao thì có chạy tiền nữa theo lý chỉ chua hậu con nè theo lý chỉ chua hậu mình chỉ muốn balance đâu có theo trong này thì cụ theo suggest con nữa bài con đâu. And she didn't know where to begin. She didn't know what to do. So I gave her some suggestions on what to do. By it worked for her. Chỉ nói get back to cô là. So yếu thì tỏ cái cô theo li follow up and she was better. So usually a lot of times when people get better, they don't reach out and they don't tell you how they're doing. They usually tell you and reach out to you when they're having issues only. So it's always helpful to come back and let your sifu know how you're doing, to let your sifu know what's working and what isn't working for you, so that it doesn't just stop there. There's still your path. It still needs to open up and to pave way for more growth. So it's good to get back to your sifu, so your sifu can see that, okay, this suggestion worked for you. And I don't know why sometimes it's very hard for us to reach out to our sifu, and we don't want to reach out to our sifu. To sifu ba con tụ cho có cho con nói đâu có tụ chơi có lú rõ cái chúng chân có tụ sĩ phứ thế rồi để cho chị có nu thế có thọ tụ chỉ nói nữa có tụ sĩ phứ nè cái chúng mới cho kinh chân hay để của tụ sĩ phứ nữa ba cô nữa yêu ba cô tết tết nữa yêu ba cô trở lại khó nữa ba tàu nè. A lot of times it's for me as a sifu, it's harder for me to reach out to you because I don't want to be overbearing. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. If you have issues, you should always reach out to your sifu. You should always reach out to me if you're my student. Okay? Giờ thì có tụ sĩ phứ nữ rất sơ có nữ papa có ta cho nó mua tết tu về có tụ sĩ phứ chú có cho nói cho co xứ na cho có cho nói cho co xứ về có cho con nói lợi kia có mù là xứ về có chỉ need as much support from your sifu. Your guides are guiding you, and that's how it should be. That's what we want, is for your guides to guide you and less of going to your sifu. But in the case where you need a lot of support from your sifu because your guides are not able to guide you, your connection with your guides are not as strong, and you need more support from your sifu, then it's always just common courtesy. It's just courteous for you to keep update on with your sifu if things are changing, if you are noticing that you're achieving progress. Another thing is, as you are continuing to work, towards growth, you should also be writing. You should also be writing, because writing is not only growing you, it's growing your spiritual guides. If you want to be able to connect to your spiritual guides, then you have to be writing, because by writing, then you're writing to teach your guides. Got your writing when you write, you're opening knowledge and intelligence, and you're opening the pathway so that your guides can access that. If you are not doing any of that, then even if you are growing, then you are also coming short of a skill or growth that you otherwise would be able to do or would be growing in. Spiritual writing is very important. Spiritual writing, there are different types of spiritual writing. Spiritual writing should be in a language, in a type of writing that is not understandable to you. It's not intelligible for you. It's not something that you can recognize. That's spiritual writing. Sometimes our guides can write to us and can write for us in the language that we speak in, and that is considered spiritual writing too, but that is not to develop growth, is not to develop knowledge for your guides. That is to give insight and to just communicate with you. So if your guides are writing at home, writing in English, that is just to communicate with you. That is just to allow you to translate for you. It is not to grow your spiritual guides. At the same time, as your sifu works with you, your sifu will be able to see that, oh, you are lacking in this area. In this area, we need to do this in order to remove this blockage. We need to do this in order to gain access to this. These are things that I, as a sifu to my students, I'm able to see, and I'm able to recognize, and I will be able to give one-on-one advice, because each person, what they're not able to make progress in and what is preventing them and hindering them is different. It's not always the same for every student. One student of mine knew recently, she is just so motivated that within a week, she had made so much progress in her path, because in that week's time, she had written like over 200-300 pages of spiritual writing. And another student, in 2 or 3 years, they did not even write like 100-page worth of spiritual writing. And she was learning how to summon her guides. She was wanting to communicate with them. And whatever advice I gave her, she took it to heart. She went and implemented it. And all of a sudden, she's like telling me, oh, my guides are saying this. Do you agree with this or do you not? And cụ thể hai đôi để ôi có nhiều con đấy nó sẽ có cho năng chuyện gì khi có liu li nó the có lời lo. And then we were laughing about it because, yeah, I mean, however they're communicating through you, they might not mỗi cái lúc họ nhóc khí hay kia thì chỉ mà có gì nó lo lù, có gì nó dễ lù, có gì nó khó sentence, khó idea từ họ cái lúc xia nữ si kia tua nữ từ tua nữ kia đó có. And that's through your spiritual guides. So if you are not making progress, you might need your sifu to assess what is going on. Don't be afraid to ask if you're there go to sifu chipo idea what you need to do in order to grow, in order to improve. That might be the reason why you're not growing, because there's such a big disconnect. Bây giờ các tổ sư phụ này cho con năng trở hàng cái trở có cho cái nửa ba số có thế nào? Cô lo tham mình gì nó vì thế. This is an issue that almost every new student that you either take off and you take flight and your guides just start teaching you, or you're stuck for a long time and you start to feel that, okay, I don't know if this path is for me, I don't know if this is even true anymore. So có chăng có mù là nó vậy most likely có những một con nai với chỉ mà chỉ tao cha lúc chạy lúc nhau chỉ tao cha tù sư phụ hậu có chỉ tao khi tao cha hậu cá chỉ tao mua tù yêu xin nhau có chạy tay xí nè